Don't memorize a foreign language, acquire it instead. And I'm gonna tell you how you can do it in today's video. I am passionate about language learning, and that's why I create those videos. So if you wanna see more of them, just subscribe to my channel. No one wants to study something for years to eventually forget it anyways. So the question for today's video is, how can you learn a foreign language not only in a way that you won't forget it, but also in a way that you can use it naturally and appropriately to the situations that you have to face. And here comes the concept of not memorizing a foreign language, but acquiring instead. In today's video, I will tell you what language acquisition is, and I will explain how you can introduce it to your learning process. But first, let me explain why we are so focused on memorizing a language, even though, according to my research and my own experience, it's not the best approach. In most countries, school system is mostly focused on learning everything by heart, and unfortunately, languages aren't an exception here. But on the other hand, this is understandable to a certain point, because teachers somehow have to check your knowledge in order to give you a grade. But as a result of our school system, we tend to think that the way we were taught at school is the only way to learn a foreign language. So we try to learn a language by memorizing words without any context. We try to learn a list of words or irregular verbs by heart. And we try to memorize grammar, and we constantly forget it. This process is a bit annoying and ineffective, so we start doubting ourselves, and finally we realize that maybe we are not good at learning languages. And we give up, because it's actually too boring and too hard. But it doesn't have to be that way, and it won't be if we understand a concept of language acquisition. So, what does it mean to acquire a language? We can say that babies acquire a language. It means that babies learn a language naturally from a context. Babies acquire a language by being exposed to the sound, words, and structures of the language spoken around them. They do this through interaction with their family members and their environment. Babies don't need to study anything or translate any new words. And babies don't try hard to memorize a new language, and they are still able to successfully learn it. Babies often seem to learn languages more easily than adults due to various cognitive and psychological factors. Their brain at this age is basically designed to learn new things and discover the world. However, if we use some of the strategies of language acquisition, it can also speed up our process of learning. So, to acquire a language as an adult means to learn it naturally from a context. It means to gain proficiency and fluency in speaking in that language, mainly through practice and exposure. Acquiring a language naturally as an adult involves a combination of methods. How to acquire a foreign language? Number 1. Language immersion. Language immersion is an approach in language learning that involves surrounding yourself with a language as much as possible. People who live abroad are naturally immersed in a foreign language because they are surrounded by others who speak this language on a daily basis. They can hear it on the TV, they can hear it on the radio, they can hear it basically wherever they go. That's why people who live abroad have a huge advantage over others in learning languages, because they are surrounded by foreign language, and that's why they are able to learn it even in a few months. But the most important thing is that you can recreate this process wherever you are. You can even live on a desert island and still use similar strategies to successfully learn a new foreign language, on the understanding that you have electricity and internet connection. The idea of learning immersion is simple: become surrounded by the language. This can involve listening to music in a foreign language, watching movies, and also reading some materials in your target language. You can start with some children's books, news articles, or some simple text, and gradually change them to some more complex materials. Another thing that you can do is to create an immersive environment. change your phone settings, your social media to your target language. The idea is to stimulate your environment, where the language you learn is the only means of communication. It is a highly effective method that forces you to actively engage with the language and increases your exposure to the language, so it can speed up your process of learning. Many people think that language immersion is just about input, but actually it's not. To immerse yourself in a language means to actually start living your life in a foreign language. So immerse yourself in a language by learning to explain the most simple everyday life issues in a foreign language. Engage in conversations with native speakers or find a language partner. You can do it for free on some Facebook groups, for example. You can join some conversations that are in your target language. You can look for some groups that are about travel, fashion, art, or even car repair, depending on what you are interested in. How to acquire a language. Number 2. Start with the basics. Another important characteristic of language acquisition of babies is that they learn this language top-down. It means that they learn from general to specific words and structures. So first they learn the most fundamental words, often repeated by their parents in everyday life. And then, even when they are older, they expand their range of vocabulary to some more advanced words and phrases. And we as adults should approach learning a new foreign language in a similar way. So first, learn the most fundamental words, basic grammar, and the most commonly used words and phrases. Look for high-frequency used words and phrases that you are likely to use daily. A helpful solution is to learn a list of 1,000 most commonly used words in your target language. But don't make the same mistake as I made when I was trying to learn German. I printed the list of 1,000 words and I tried to memorize it by heart. I tried to memorize it like a robot. And this is something you want to avoid, because you should learn it in a context and from a context, instead of memorizing it out of nowhere. Focus on how words and phrases are used in everyday life situations. Learn a context to understand the usage better. For that, you can use Reverso Context. It is an online dictionary and mobile application combining big data from large multilingual corpora to allow users to search for translations in a context. So there you can write a word in a foreign language and you can not only see its meaning, but you can also see many examples of the sentences that include this word in a context. It is helpful because in this way you can learn when it is appropriate to use this word, and you can also learn some new additional words that appear in a sentence. So let me show you how it works. Let's translate the word art into German and let's see some examples of sentences. Let's try with another word. Let's say cooking. And again, you can see translated sentences. To practice new words, don't repeat them unthinkingly from a list of 1,000 words. What you can do instead to learn them more naturally is to write down your own sentences with those words and also try to use them in everyday life conversations. How to acquire a foreign language. Number 3. Practice regularly. If a certain activity is not a part of your daily routine, you are way less likely to do it. And let me give you an example. For me, it is so much easier to go running every single day than to go running once a week. And it's so much easier for me to study every single day, even for 15 minutes, than to study once a week for 2 hours. And this is because the things you do every single day are your habits, that after some time become automatic. You don't have to think much, you just do them. You don't have to force yourself to do them. And as a result, you don't procrastinate so much, but you are focused on action. Another advantage of learning new foreign language every day, even for 15 or 20 minutes, is repetition. A process of learning is actually a process of forgetting. So what we can see here is that when we learn a word for the first time, we're gonna easily forget it. But when we remind ourselves of this word second time, it will stay in our memory for longer. And every single time when we revise this word, it stays in our memory for longer and longer, till the moment when we finally remember it permanently. So we can see that repetition is a key to learning new words in a way that they will stay in our minds. To learn something permanently, you have to forget it a couple of times and repeat it, so in this way it can stay in your long-term memory. Consistent practice is a key, so try to learn a foreign language every day, even for a short time. How to acquire a foreign language? Number 4. Listen actively. There is active listening and passive listening. Passive listening is a less engaged way of receiving information. It involves mostly hearing, without active participation or processing mentioned information. Active listening, on the other hand, is a more engaged approach. It requires full attention, feedback, and participation, aiming to understand the speaker's message completely. This type of listening involves concentration and active mental processing of the information. Babies listen actively what other people say, because it can be potentially important for their survival, and we can also reuse this strategy to learn a foreign language more efficiently. So when you listen to native speakers through podcasts, movies, or videos, try to notice what they say. Try to process the information instead of just hearing it. Try to understand as much as you can, and if you don't understand, actively write down new words. Active listening gives way better results than passive listening, so learn to control your attention to be able to learn a new foreign language more efficiently. How to acquire a foreign language? Number 5. Learn from mistakes and seek feedback. When babies learn to walk, they are not afraid to fall down. But adults are afraid of every single mistake. And this is because we know that our mistakes can have serious consequences. But if we make a mistake while learning a new foreign language, it probably won't cause any serious problems. So we shouldn't be afraid of that from the logical point of view. But we have some psychological blockades, and we would rather don't make any mistake and don't learn from it than make a mistake and learn from it. Children aren't aware of any serious consequences of their mistakes, and that's why they are actually braver than us, and we should actually relearn this attitude from them. Because making mistakes is a natural process of learning, so don't be afraid of it. I know that it's easier said than done, but you can still train yourself in a way that you won't be afraid of any mistakes, because you can actually use them to your advantage. Your mistakes can actually help you to remember certain rules better. I remember the most things that I understood wrong at first. I remember the most words that I couldn't actually learn at first, because they were long and difficult. Another important issue regarding making mistakes is to be actually open to feedback from some native speakers or language teachers, because it can help you to understand where you need to focus more, and it can help you to improve your language skills. How to acquire a foreign language? Number 6. Stay patient and persistent. If a baby wants something, they're not gonna give up. Babies don't give up, adults give up. Have you ever seen a child who fell down and never tried ice skating again or riding a bicycle? No, they stand up pretty quickly, and they are ready to try again. They are not afraid of pain or failure, at least most of them. Don't be afraid either, stay patient and persistent, because you have actually nothing to lose and a lot to gain. Language acquisition requires time and determination. Stay patient and committed to the process. Celebrate your victories and progress, as they will motivate you to continue. Combining these steps and staying dedicated to the process will help you to acquire a foreign language more naturally than memorizing lists of words by heart. Check out my other videos, for example this one visible on the screen right now. It is a study vlog, and there I share with you how I study German on a daily basis. I show you many ideas of how to learn a foreign language on your own. So thank you for watching this video and see you there!